Experience tranquility. Pass into the iris.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Iris Podcast. It's been an adventurous week, like very, very adventurous for all of us. Trying to get into Overwatch 2. There are 40,000 players ahead of you, so we're gonna get right into the podcast. So before we actually start the podcast, I'm here. I'm NPC in for Bowsy today. I've got BethCon2 on this side, actually, and then I got Train with me on this side over here. And we're going to be kind of predicting a little bit of season 2. Now, we do have Predicting Tranquility, the show, coming on right after this. So we are going to talk about each and every team, but we do want to kind of intro that a little bit with some, I want to call them bold takes, spicy takes. But with Overwatch 2, we don't know what to expect, really. With the SR being the way it is, we don't even know. Speaking of SR, we do have some announcements to make, and I'm going to go ahead and play a pre-recorded message from everybody's favorite admin, Mr. Yeti. We're going to go ahead and get that started right now.
Evening all, I am Mr. Yeti. I am Deputy Commissioner here in Tranquility Gaming. We are really excited to get to Stage 2 and Overwatch 2 matches here in Tranquility. We appreciate all of your patience as we get everything up and running this stage as well. We have a few things we want to talk about before we go to this coming week here. First and foremost, one staffing update. We know interviews for new moderators will be starting here very shortly. We're definitely excited to bring some more staff in. You should know who is selected to fill those roles here within the next week or so. So stay tuned to announcements for that. In addition, our Transcendence Tier Director, Chimanzi, and one of our moderators, Gios, are leading the formation of a new team, a special events team, who will be tasked with creating, running, and staffing our special events moving forward. Stay tuned for announcements, and if you're interested in volunteering to help run those events, you'll see signups for that very soon. Now, with Stage 2 brings about concerns over how Overwatch 2 rankings would be implemented with our systems this season for Tranquility. Rosters are set to lock regardless here within about 3 weeks once playoffs starts. So it's it's pretty clear that this soft yet fairly significant reset is greatly impacting SRs for players. With that said, Tranquility roster ads for the remainder of the season will remain requiring the Season 36 placements to have been completed. And we will use the Season 36 SR to determine whether or not a person is able to participate in the tier. We do understand that this is going to be unfortunate for some who did not participate in that season or were trying to sneak in at their Overwatch 2 dropped. However, this is the only way we feel we can absolutely ensure as much competitive integrity as possible moving forward this season. Now, that being said, our ringer rules will also indicate that we require Season 36 rankings to be used for ringers as well. Now, this new stage brings about new changes as well for our Harmony tier and the EU side with a couple of dropouts. We formatted their schedule for the last 3 weeks to change to a Swiss format to reduce forfeits due to these dropouts. We're looking forward to starting their playoffs in about 3 weeks as well. Last but certainly not least is Event Week. So far, as of this recording, we've raised over $2,700, and I could not be more proud or more thankful for all the money that we've raised for Rise Above the Disorder. Now, that being said, it obviously did not go as planned. We lost several days of events throughout the entire week, and resulted us in missing out on a lot of donations that we hoped to get. And also, we missed out on running some pretty cool events. The Widow 1v1, the Ana Paintball, Orisa Jousting, Torbjorn Hammers Only, and also, of course, the 3v3 elimination as well. We're absolutely bummed we didn't get an opportunity to run these events. But for those excited about those events, good news. We still will be running these events this season. You do need to stay tuned for that. For those events to be announced here very soon. You should see dates and plans for those within the coming weeks, as well as for EU. We will be communicating with those from that region for opportunities to get you guys involved in events as well. Now, for those excited about the opportunity to make donations to Rise Above the Disorder, we have extended the window to make donations through the end of this match week, ending on Thursday night's broadcast of the Discord Tier NA feature match. Lastly, for those excited about giveaways, and who isn't excited about a giveaway, We've extended the entry period for one more week for the event week giveaways. That means that every giveaway entry from now until next Monday obtained is entered into a drawing for one of 5 $50 Amazon gift cards. Now, obviously, last week didn't go as planned. The Overwatch 2 launch was far from ideal, and event week did suffer some damage as a result. But right now, we're looking forward to the future for the remainder of Season 9. And going to the off-season here, we're going to be announcing our plans for Season 10. So stay tuned for updates to our rule set and reflect the new system while in ranked. And stay tuned for more updates moving forward with regards to our event week reschedules. Of course, also, if you're interested in getting involved in the community, we'll be very soon announcing the committee, looking for people to join our committee, I should say, for end of season awards. If you are interested in being a part of that, stay tuned. You should see a sign up for that coming out very soon as well. We appreciate all of your patience. And of course, if there's any questions, concerns, or anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to any of your Tranquility staff members. Thank you all very much.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Yeti, for that update on everything. And it's totally planned and calculated that Yeti and I have matching shirts. The Heather Gray Tranquility logo. It's a fantastic shirt. You can get your own just like it and match me and Mr. Yeti at shop.spreadshirt.com/OWTranquility. !store in the chat. So now that we've got that shameless plug out of the way, we're going to go ahead and talk about Stage 2. Stage 2 is on everybody's mind. New game, new opportunities, new meta, which we don't even know what it is. I mean, there's a whole bunch of YouTube videos out there with conflicting information, so I don't know. I don't even know what to believe. But I have two experts here that know exactly what the meta is going to be.
Yeah, totally. Yeah,
Definitely going to predict.
Just go goats.
How this is going to work. So let's go ahead and do some bold predictions, something a little bit spicy here. So we're going to talk about each tier and each little segment as well, each division, Aurum and Indigo, separately. So we're going to talk about Harmony tier, Aurum A. All right. So I want to know, Train, this has a lot of teams in it, right? Geometric, Galactic Penguins, Insidious, and Aces High. I keep saying Aces High. It's actually Ace High, but that doesn't make any sense to me. So of those teams, everybody in Aurum A, these are the best of the best in the Aurum side of the bracket. Which one is your favorite to win? Train, what do you think?
To me, two of these four teams really stand out. It's either between Geometric and Galactic Penguins, coming out with probably the best records in this group. Galactic Penguins, I think, though, takes the edge for me in terms of a favorite. When you look back through strength of schedule and the quality opponents that GP defeated over the course of Stage 1, they really take the advantage there, I think.
Okay. I can see that. Beth, do you have a different take, or are you going to agree there?
I have a different take for this one. So I said Ace High for this one. I think they've had a really solid performance. They were in a really tough tier Stage 1, and I think that they're gonna bring it in Aurum Stage A coming into tier 2.
All right. So we've got a couple of different favorites here. So Train, what was a surprise team? What team showed up here and you didn't expect to see them?
Ace High was actually my pick. BethCon's favorite. I think they are a really quality team, right? They've had a lot of solid performances. That early 3-2 game against Flashbacks, but they also went 3-2 versus 3.5, right? Kind of on the other side of our standings in Harmony tier. So this team is kind of hit or miss in a lot of their games, but their highs are really high. So they could potentially upset some of the favorites.
Definitely their highs could be very Ace High. So Beth, do you have any surprises on this list? Do you see any teams here that are like, wow, that came out of nowhere?
I would put Geometric on this list. They did have a little bit of an easier Stage 1, although Kusanagi arguably is another good team from their tier. They did have a couple of bye weeks, so maybe we didn't get to see as much of a showing out of them, but I still think they're a pretty strong team who could make a pretty good showing in this stage.
Yeah, definitely. And in this group, they've got some very talented players on their rosters. What is your player to watch on one of these teams? Train, what do you think?
For me, it's got to go to Sgt. Pepper over on Galactic Penguins. For me, I talk about this every time I'm on the podcast. Consistency is, in my opinion, the most important thing in a tournament style like this. You need to make a long playoffs run. You need success throughout all of stage two. And so Sergeant Pepper, again, high highs. I want to see if they can really equalize that and settle on one of those top player spots in the tier. Because their good has been really good, but their bad has been a little bit questionable at times as well. So just looking for some consistency out of them.
Looking for Sergeant Pepper to lead the Lonely Hearts Club band. And Beth Con, what are you thinking? Who's your player to watch out of this group in Orem A?
So I picked a player from a team we haven't talked about yet, which is Insidious. Again, one of the weaker teams in the tier. We didn't mention them for one of our favorites, so we're our surprises. But very strong support player, and coming into the Overwatch 2, supports can have a lot more of a role as they're no longer delegated to tank heal bots and can have a lot more effect in supporting their team, including dealing damage. And I feel like that will play in his favor.
Okay, what's the name of that player?
Dak Game Boy. Sorry,
Okay.
I must have missed that part. Dak Game Boy.
All right, Game Boy, excellent console. Have special place in my heart for sure. So let's move on to Indigo A. So we did Orem A. Now Indigo is the other side of the bracket. Also the top teams in this. So these are definitely going to be kind of the winningest teams. We've got X Kusanagi, Strix, Koala Kings, and Flashbacks. Okay. These are all, without a doubt, some of the best teams that we see. A lot of familiar names in Tranquility history here. So, Train, do you have a favorite of these 4 teams?
Yeah, again, I think this is kind of two favorites in the pool here. Obviously 4 very high quality teams, but Koala Kings and Flashbacks all season have seen really high quality, even going back into previous seasons of Tranquility as well. My favorite here, I picked Koala Kings because I think they're just a strong team in general. And I think going down to 1 tank might actually make Flashbacks a little bit worse because Pasty and Kiddo are so good as a duo. So they have to split them up now. And in that case, I kind of bring them down maybe a little bit more in line with the rest of their competition.
Okay, definitely a quality prediction. Beth Con, who's your favorite team out of this set?
So I picked opposite of Train and went for Flashbacks here. I think having 1 tank with how good their tanks are is going to just make it a lot more apparent how strong their tanks can be, and that they're just going to do really well in this stage and tear it up.
Okay, definitely going to be an off-tank meta for sure. So Train, out of these, which one is a surprise to you? Which one kind of came out of the dark?
X Kusanagi is definitely the biggest surprise out of this group. Right? I think we talk about Strix, Koala Kings, Flashbacks all the time. They're names we've seen in Tranquility throughout the years and throughout the seasons. X Kusanagi has kind of just snuck in here under the radar without a whole lot of attention. A lot of people, I think, have gotten them confused with Narwhal Con X in the past. But this X Kusanagi team has been really, really consistent, even though we haven't seen a ton of them. Right? They've had a few forfeit wins out there in stage 1, but really a team not to be underestimated by any means.
Okay, excellent. Beth Con, you got a different take, or are you going to go with that too?
I'm going to copy the homework on this one. I also went with X Kusanagi. They were in the same tier as Strix, or not Strix, excuse me, Geometric in the first stage. So they had a bunch of this sort of same issues with maybe a slightly weaker group, couple of bye weeks in there that kind of just made it so they slipped under the radar. But they are still a pretty strong team, and I think that they could be a surprise in this round. So it'll be fun to watch them.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, when you're talking about Strix, Koala Kings, Flashbacks, you're talking about brands that have been here a long time. And when you've got one outlier, that's going to be the way it is. It's definitely not a slight to Kusanagi whatsoever, just a lack of familiarity. So we are familiar with a lot of these players, since a lot of them are returning teams. We've got a lot of good talent there. Train, do we have a player you want to watch going into this next stage?
Yeah, I'm actually going to go with one of the DPS on Flashbacks, which is Bewell. I think when we think about Flashbacks DPS, a lot of people go back to Xeno's Pharah and how dominant that was back in stage 1. Bewell is a player who I think will really benefit from kind of a wider playing field that we have in the 5v5 format. And they've been solid all season, but now they really have some potential to step it up. I think they will in a pretty big way.
Okay. When I think about Flashbacks DPS, I think about Thuggington, right? But,
so true.
Yeah, that's the way it is. Beth, what's your player to watch here out of this group?
I picked Doha from Strix for a lot of the same reasons as Train picked Be Well. Again, a very solid DPS player that's only going to benefit from both his range and flexibility, and also from the not having quite so much peel or quite so much defense against DPS players in this upcoming Overwatch 2 meta that we're going into. So I think Doha could do pretty well in this.
Okay, we are never going to hear the end of it from Phantom over this one. All right, let's go ahead and bring it down a little bit. Let's go into Orem B, okay? Because the B tier is the teams that kind of went 50-50. They're kind of in the middle of the pack. They had a really difficult schedule. Maybe they, I don't know. There's a lot of different things. Maybe the 5v5 is going to shake things up for them and give them an advantage here. We've got Big Bang Buccaneers, Millivat Gaming, Chrysalis, and Narwhal ConX. So when I look at these, I'm looking at like, okay, these are kind of good middle of the road teams. We talk about them a little bit, but not quite to the extent we've talked about the A tier. Train, who's your favorite out of this group of four?
I went for Millivat Gaming. They've kind of had iffy results throughout stage one, like a lot of their counterparts in the B pools. But they really started to look a lot better towards the end of stage one. You can see they're playing together more, they're trusting each other more. Just visually, they look a lot more together. So I think Overwatch 2 might be the kind of strategy leveling that would really benefit them in the long run, because they seem to have a lot of the fundamentals as a team really nailed down.
Okay, excellent. Beth, what do you think?
Oh my gosh, I just inhaled I
Oh
aspirated.
no.
It's COVID. It's COVID. Get
Oh,
your
no.
mask.
I take a breath in to speak, and everything just shoots into the trachea. Anyways, I also went with Millivat, another team like Train was saying. For everything he was saying, they're a team that's been flying under the radar a lot this season. Have been looking a lot stronger as we've kind of been going on, but I think that they have a really high potential to do really well in this tier and potentially win their entire tier and move on to a really good seeding in the playoffs.
Excellent. So, of these teams, Train, which one is a surprise to you? We got a lot of 50-50 out there. Which one kind of surprises you that it's here?
I chose Narwhal ConX. This is a team that I've actually watched a lot of their VODs because I know so little about them. And I feel like even after watching their VODs, I still don't know very much about them. They play everyone close no matter what the scenario is. So this is one of those teams where they're going to come out and create some exciting games. And if a few opportunities go the right way, then they're winning this group, right? And that's really all you need at the end of the day in stage two sometimes is a few moments that just go the right way. And they have the talent to make it happen as well.
Absolutely. The 5v5 gameplay is going to be very different and, critical for punishing those mistakes. Like you said, those one or two key plays and game's over. So Beth, what do you think? You got a surprise team in this group?
Yeah, so for my team, that could be surprising either way. I did the bias take and I went with Big Bang Buccaneers just because weren't going to talk about them in any of the other groups.
Yeah. We don't talk about the Buccaneers.
One of us had to talk about them. Train and I are both affiliated with them, so like somebody had to break the ice there. But had a really rocky stage one, honestly. Like lost a couple of games, really only won 2 by forfeit. So them being in B, or us being in B, I should say, isn't that much of a surprise. It'll be interesting to watch and see whether we're able to turn it around this stage. I've got confidence in us, but that's again me being biased. So
yeah, D.Va's really strong this meta, so I can see why you would pick that one.
The bombs have been outstanding.
All right. So do we have any players out here in this group that we want to watch? Train, what's your player to watch here?
I want to shout out CTW and Anna from Chrysalis. I think from a lot of what I've learned in my very limited experience with Overwatch 2 is that a lot of these teams are going to live or die by their backline. Chrysalis has had some really hard matchups early on in this season, but now is a chance to kind of turn it around, right? CTW and Anna, now's your opportunity to really step it up and take control. And I think they have the capability to do that. So I'm really looking at a kind of a revitalized Chrysalis for stage 2.
All right. And Beth, what are you looking at?
So I picked Yaxim, who's a tank for Millivat. Again, Millivat flew under the radar. They're kind of one of our low-key teams, but in this meta with only having one tank in, you kind of live or die by your tank. So Yaxim, watching whether or not they're able to step it up and really lead their team to victory in this stage and beyond will be a fun player to watch, I think.
Okay, definitely, I can see that. All right. So we've done Aurum B. We'd have to do Indigo B now. Get the purple side of the bracket. We've got the Chinchillas, we got FBRD, we got Clairvoyance, and we got S9W7. Now you guys know where my loyalties lie, but Train, what is your favorite team to win?
Well, I think you know where my loyalties have to lie as well. I went with S9W7 for my favorite here, mostly because I know for a fact that team has been theory crafting Overwatch 2 since the beta. I know they've been following Overwatch League. Yes, it's Harmony tier. Meta isn't the law of the land, but it's got to count for something, right? It's one more barrier kind of out of the way of success. So hopefully, I'm banking on their homework paying off, and I think it really will.
Okay, Beth, are you going to pick the correct team also?
Yes, NPC, and I expect the Venmo to be coming through any minute now.
Okay, yeah,
but...
perfect.
Again, I also picked S9W7. They had a really tough stage 1, but they had some really good showings out of it. I think they're only going to get stronger from here and end up doing very well in this stage and moving on to the playoffs.
Excellent. So of this group, we picked our favorites, obviously by a long shot. Are there any surprises in this group here that we're looking to take care of? Train, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm pretty surprised by Clairvoyance. This is a team that, I don't know very much about. I think a new team to Tranquility hasn't been talked about very much in terms of the Discord or the podcast overall. But if you look back through their match history, they've really taken care of business when they've needed to. Their 2 losses were 3-2 to Insidious, really close game. And then, the obligatory 0-4 loss to Koala Kings, which is probably the best team in tier right now. So Clairvoyance, overall, some pretty impressive results. Probably a dark horse for Indigo B.
Okay, a little bit of Clairvoyance coming out of Train there. BethCon, what are you thinking is a surprise pick out of the Indigo B pool?
I am going with Fire Breathing Rubber Duckies. They had a pretty lackluster stage 1, in all honesty. They've kind of struggled up into this point. So hopefully with coming into Overwatch 2, they're able to turn things around. We do know that they are an organization that's been in the community for a while. They've got a lot of good support networks, a lot of smart brains behind that organization. So I feel like if anybody's able to turn it around and put on a good showing here, it's them.
Okay. All right. That's excellent. So, Train, you got any players to watch out of this group? Any particular player that's catching your eye?
I went for a new roster addition, Capybara Man on the Fire Breathing Rubber Duckies. Excellent name. I love shouting out good names on the Iris.
Absolutely.
But FBRD, I think, is a team that I would have expected to see a little bit more from. They've had some really nice moments, and maybe just adding another piece to the puzzle is the way they're going to unlock their potential for Overwatch 2.
Okay. Bold prediction for me, Capybara Man moving over to the Marsupial org next season. I can feel it. It's got to happen.
Oh, I hope so.
Okay.
They're collecting the names.
Yeah. Metcon, you got a player out of this pool that you think deserves some recognition?
Yeah, so a team we haven't talked about much in this pool is the Chinchillas. Again, kind of a weaker stage 1. They were in the same group that had the 2 teams that dropped out, got a couple wins by forfeit, which worked to their advantage. But I picked Blue, the tank from that team. They're also the team captain, so I'm sure the team is going to be looking to rally around them and really just bolster themselves up. Everything resets for stage 2, so I think they could still have a chance to turn it around behind their leadership.
Excellent. Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends reference there. We love to see it. Okay. All right. That's Harmony tier. We've kind of taken care of the A and B tier. We're going to talk about the elimination pool a little bit later. But we gotta move on to Discord tier now. We have to move on up a little bit to the diamond level. In Aurum A, we've got Chicago Deep Dish, which is delicious, by the way. MI7, which is one better than MI6. We got Joseph Electronic Sports, and then we have the Doodles. Doodles returning from Harmony tier last season, Harmony tier champions, moving on up to the east side of Discord. Train, what's your favorite out of this group?
I went for the easy answer in MI7. I mean, they've just been dominant all season long. There's no reason to think that would change. It might. I sit here and I pretend to know things about Overwatch 2 by talking about an entirely different game. So MI7, they're kind of the favorites heading in. We might see some surprises. Obviously, solid teams throughout the rest of this group here, but really no reason yet to doubt their dominance.
Okay, Beth, what are you thinking?
It's hard to argue against MI7. They just looked so dominant stage 1. I can't imagine that they'd be anything but in stage 2, although stronger teams coming in, who knows? But I think they're the favorite at this point.
Well, I mean, yeah, I see there's no love here for Joey Esports, but you got to realize that they have Cryptic Force. And now that there's only one tank and 2 healers, maybe he'll stay alive. So, I mean, just saying. Out of this group, you got any surprises for us, Train? What are you thinking?
I actually went for Joey.
Okay.
I think that they had some kind of middling results early on. Really stepped it up in a big way after some questionable early performances. Not that their early games were bad by any means. They were just not quite what we were expecting from last season's runners-up. But heading into a new game entirely, the Marsupial org is infamous for having the resources to adapt and learn and run with tempo. Cryptic Force is obviously a monster on any main tank with tempo. So, kind of a bad idea to doubt Joey at this point.
True. Bethcon, what kind of surprises you think this group has in store?
So I think one of the teams that could surprise us in either direction is Chicago Deep Dish. They had a very strong stage 1, but in kind of a weaker pool. It'll be interesting to see how they do against teams now that they're up against some of the biggest, strongest teams in the tier. So either they could surprise me by blowing them out of the water and continuing their reign of terror, or surprise me by maybe not being all they're hyped up to be and falling to the bottom. But either way, I think it'll be a fun team to watch.
Absolutely. So who is our players to watch out of this pool? We've got individual. We talked about Cryptic Force, probably not on anybody's radar, but who are we looking at in this group?
I chose Che Young from the Doodles. I still have nightmares of watching this player run the Harmony tier bracket last season. And so now with arguably a little bit more of a DPS centric style in Overwatch 2, plus they've had some time to improve in a new environment and have had a lot of success at the Discord level. I'm really hoping they can create some special moments again this season. Right? They did amazing stuff last year.
Yeah, last season, definitely hard to live up to that legacy. Bethcon, what are you thinking out of this group? Is there any players that are catching your eye?
Yeah, I picked a strong player on a strong team who's just a lot of fun to watch and went with Laurer, who's a DPS for MI7, making a name for himself for the season with a lot of good reason. He's a very strong DPS player, and I feel like Overwatch 2 is only going to serve to heighten that even more.
Okay, absolutely agree. MI7 definitely looking really strong this tier here. But we go over to the Indigo A side, and we also have 4 more equally skilled teams on the Indigo side of the bracket. We've got Galactic Gibbons, we got Reminiscence, Redacted, and Avalon. So out of these, we got a lot of good names. We got a couple of new names, some new names with some old players on them. Train, who is your favorite team out of this group here?
Again, I've got to take the easy pick and just go for Reminiscence. If MI7 is the most dominant team in Discord, Rem is a very close second to that. And, I don't know. There's really not much else to say. They've got a lot of talent on that roster. A lot of talent in the tank position as well. A lot of flexibility in the DPS line. So Rem, just overall, they're looking great.
Absolutely. Beth, you going to concur with that? You going to take the easy route?
I'm going to take the easy route on this one. I feel like Discord tier in particular, we have 2 teams that are just kind of really up there vying for first place, and then the also rans the rest of the pack. Again, we play the games for a reason, but I think that Reminiscence is probably MI7's only shot at not winning the championship. So I'm going to pick for them for the top of this tier.
Okay. All right. Odds in Reminiscence favor for sure. But Reminiscence, they might not take it all away. There might be a team that'll surprise us. Train, you got any teams here that you think will surprise us?
Yeah, I think if anyone in this group is going to be surprising, it's going to be Redacted.
Okay.
They have this signature fast-paced style They don't give respect to anyone unless they earn it during the match, and even then they don't give it to them. But they're just absolutely looking to dominate tempo at all points in time. And I think that can really catch a lot of these high quality teams off guard and get some good results.
All right, all right. Beth, are you looking for any surprises out of this group?
I'm looking for Avalon. Haven't talked about them much, but they've been a fairly consistent team. They've made it to Group A. They've been doing a pretty good job this season. Could argue that they haven't really been tested yet, but that's what this second stage is for. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they can do here.
Yeah, second stage definitely going to test a lot of these players. Speaking of those players, what player are we going to watch be tested in this stage? Train, what do you think?
I'm looking at Seraph over on Reminiscence. Amazing hit scan player, amazing content creation team member. But I'm looking forward to what they can create on that hit scan role, especially now that they have a little bit more space to operate. And we know Rem kind of early in stage one, they leaned into that kind of poke style. So maybe they do so again, and we get some awesome pop-off moments from the Sheriff Seraph himself.
Yeah. Former Starch Org member. Once a potato, always a potato. Beth, what are you thinking? Are there any players that stand out to you out of this group?
Yeah, I'm going to keep an eye on Sticko from Galactic Gibbons. Really solid tank player, veteran in the tournament. Could end up working in his favor as we come into Overwatch 2. I just think that he should adjust to the new playstyle pretty easily and should be a fun player to watch.
Excellent. Thank you for not dropping the L word here on the stream.
I almost did. I was this close.
It was close. I was ready to hit that censor button, right? I've got this 2-second delay.
Hit the eject button while you're
Yeah.
out.
Sorry, we seem to have disconnected for a second. All right, so we're gonna come down out of that A group, and we're gonna look into Aurum B. Aurum B is the teams that have kind of gone half and half, kind of struggled a little bit, but maybe looking to make some big changes coming up here in the new meta and the new game. We got Ragnarok Loki, Adelaide Eclipse, Space Created, and Hades in Aurum B. This is once again, we have a couple of teams that are well-known Tranquility teams, been here 3-4 seasons, some of them, but we got a couple of new ones too. Train, which one of these teams is your favorite out of this group?
I decided to go with Adelaide for this one.
Okay.
Adelaide has 2 losses this season. One is to MI7. The other is to Reminiscence. So you kind of expect to lose those games. If you're anyone else in this tier, you're going to lose those games. The other 3 they won, right? So I don't really see any reason to put them anywhere besides first place in this group. They haven't had a lot of shaky moments, just kind of what you would expect from some very strong contenders over on the other side.
All right, by the law of transitive properties, you got to
They're third place.
Adelaide
That's
Eclipse.
what that means.
Definitely, for sure. So Beth, what are you thinking? Is there any standout favorites here in this tier?
Yeah, I really like Space Created in this tier. Maybe not as strong of a showing as Adelaide to date. They've maybe had a slightly weaker schedule, but I still feel like they're a good team with some strong leadership that could really just make the transition to Overwatch 2 pretty easily.
Okay, yeah, definitely going to try to create space with that only one tank. It's going to be a little tougher, but I think they can do it as well. If there's any teams that are going to come out and surprise us in this tier, Train, who do you think that's going to be?
I'm going to do this for the second time and pick the team that BethCon thinks is the favorite. And I'm taking Space Created. Right?
Okay, well, we got a hive mind going here.
We really do. It helps when we can all see each other's
Also,
answers.
I copied the homework.
The Space Created, some solid results in stage 1. Really good team flying under the radar, like Beth said. Their coaching is amazing. You've got Chim and Smarties over there doing great work. And I also think Keegs is really good in the tank line. Their diva especially is really dominant. So if things in the meta and there's no patch, fingers crossed, then Space Created is in a really good position for the second stage.
All right. So Beth, he picked your pick for surprise team, but you already picked it for favorite. So who's your surprise team?
For my surprise team, I went with Ragnarok Loki. They had a 4-0 loss to Chicago Deep Dish, but other than that, they had a pretty solid stage 1 and have been looking pretty good. So we haven't been talking about them very much, but I have a feeling that they could end up doing surprisingly well in this tier.
Yeah, definitely losing 4-0 to Deep Dish is that's not a big surprise there. But other than that, I think yeah, I can see that. Train, you got any players to watch out of this group?
I went with Dez on Loki. I really agree with Bethcon that Loki is a great team in this pool. I've had some solid results. Dez was really dominant on the Pharah throughout stage one.
Okay.
But since we've seen a little bit in Overwatch 2, Pharah has fallen a little bit out of favor. So I'm pretty curious with what Dez decides to adapt towards. If they're going to stay the Pharah, if they pick up Sombra or Genji, like a lot of the other flex DPS players have done so far. But they're really the main X factor on this Loki team for me.
Okay, excellent. And Beth, are there any players in Orem B that you're looking to kind of see what they can do?
Yeah, I'm looking to see what Evates from Hades can do. He's one of their supports players, really solid player. With supports having even more impact now that we're down another tank, I feel like that will benefit them a lot. They've been in the tournament for quite a while now. Just has been a pretty strong backbone of the team, so I think they could end up being a lot of fun to watch.
Evates has definitely been part of the community for a long, long time. So definitely a well-known player. That'll be good. Excellent. Like you said, lots of impact from supports there. We're going to move on to Indigo B. So the other side of the bracket, similar thing. Teams kind of gone 50-50 here. We have Hammerhead, Thunder Duckies, SEAL Team Spuds, and Adrenalines. So this group, same as the last one. Train, we got a favorite?
Yeah, I love the Spuds. I think
yeah, everybody does. Yeah.
I really do. I can't help it. I don't know what it is. Potatoes are just so nice.
Mm-hmm.
I know they've been kind of prepping, it feels like, for the Overwatch 2 meta. I know Toxic has been spamming Sombra over since Overwatch 1. I still have headaches from trying to scrim against them in that time period. But yeah, they just feel really prepared. I know they also spent some time scrimming Overwatch 2 back in the beta when we still had access to it. And I know that Smugs in the background is definitely pulling some strings with his coaching knowledge as well. So
Definitely.
overall, a really well-positioned team to do well in
Absolutely.
stage 2.
Absolutely. So, Beth, do you have a favorite team out of this group as well?
I also said Spuds here. I feel like, especially in this group, they're the farthest team, or the best team in the group by quite a bit. Honestly, I'm surprised they aren't an A tier. They're just a pretty solid team all around. Yeah, I think that they're probably the best team in this group.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So we've got the best team, the Spuds. We all kind of agree there. Train, who is there a team that's going to surprise you out of this group?
I went for Hammerhead. I think this is a team that actually has surprised pretty much everyone in Discord tier so far. They've had exclusively really close games. An unbelievable amount of 3-2 games. Statistically, it feels like it should be impossible, but they do it anyway. But yeah, again, kind of like Milavot on the other side, like looking good towards the end. And a lot of potential for things to go their way in stage 2.
They just want those 3-2 games to give everybody more channel points and get those giveaway entries.
The people's champions, really.
Yeah, absolutely. They're doing it for you. They're doing it for the audience. Really, it's all for you. Beth, are there any surprise teams out of this pool?
Yeah, I would want to keep an eye on Thunder Duckies in this pool. They came out of a very strong group in stage 1. They took a map off of MI7, who we've all pretty much said is one of the top 2 teams in the tier, if not the top team in the tier. So I feel like with that sort of trial by fire, the really tough stage that they came through, they could end up doing really well in this stage and just kind of coming out of nowhere.
Yeah, you take a map off of MI7 and they bleed. They have a weakness. Are there any players to watch out of Indigo P? Train.
I really like Twist, who's over on Adrenaline's in their tank line, I believe. Twist, really knowledgeable player. Overall, a very strong understanding of the macro game and how kind of the different dynamics work, and a lot of really high-level experience as well. So I think the maps Twist is in on that solo tank role, this Adrenaline's team is going to look really in control.
Excellent. All right, Beth, you got any players to watch out of this pool?
Yeah, Train mentioned him earlier. I'm going with Toxic from the SEAL Team Spuds as one of their DPS players. Very solid, flexible DPS player. Has a good Genji, a good Sombra, and a good Pharah, which I think is maybe a little bit more viable than people are giving her credit for. So I feel like the current sort of meta that we're discovering plays to his strengths pretty well, and he could be a good player to watch as we move into this stage.
All right, absolutely. SEAL Team Spuds getting lots of mentions there. You love to see it. We're going to move on to the Transcendence tier and see if we can keep this love for the starch going with the Decapitators, maybe. In Pool A, though, we've got Guangzhou Gangsters, Decapitators, Amnesia, and Sydney Sunsets. Train, you got a favorite to win out of this group?
Oh, I've been saying it for several seasons now, and I'm going to say it again. My favorite for Transtier is the Decapitators.
Okay, well, that's the end of the podcast. Thank you guys for joining us.
This is the third year I'm saying it. It has to be true. One
Sometimes it's charm.
Right? If I just keep guessing the same team over again, eventually I'll be right. So I'm going to stick by my guns and pick the decaps again this year.
Okay, excellent. All right, Beth, you going to agree, or are you going with somebody else?
I don't know how you can pick anybody but the Guangzhou Gangsters at this point. They have yet to drop a map. They probably have the longest win streak of almost any team in Trank at this point, as they rebranded from their perfect season last season to a new team. But they're just so strong in this tier. I think that they're a favorite to win the whole thing for sure.
They do have a lot of Dallas Fuel skins equipped, so it really gives them the edge.
Oh yeah, they're even able to win with that handicap.
Yeah. Oh wow. Oh. Okay, I think Bethcon's going to disconnect, and we're going to continue without. All right. So, Train, do you have a surprise team out of this group, out of Transcendence tier Pool A?
Yeah, I went with Amnesia. As much as I would prefer to have Amnesia about my time on this team back in the day, I really think they're in a great position. Right, Overwatch 2, from what we've seen, really benefits and rewards aggressive backline play. And I don't know any more aggressive support players than LCS and Capital. So I'm really looking for them to have some huge pop-off moments, lock the frog, lock the nails, and run it down.
Okay. All right. They're going to skip Baptiste. They're going to go right to the Moira. I love to see it. Bethcon, what's a surprise team for you out of this group?
My surprise team I picked here is the Sydney Sunsets. I feel like we've been sort of underrating them all season, but they are pretty sneaky good. Other than a pretty tough 4-0 loss where they kind of got walked on by Guangzhou, they've won every other game. They're just looking really solid, and I feel like they don't get enough love.
All right. You can see that. Train, you got any players to watch out of this pool A and Transcendence tier?
Yeah, shout out to the original Sombra Warlord, the one and only Poggers, Speedy666 over on Amnesia. I love this guy so much. He's so much fun and has been grinding Sombra forever. And he's finally hit a meta where Sombra is almost a must pick in almost every scenario. So really looking forward to some big things from Speedy this year.
Okay, excellent. And Beth, do you have any players to watch here?
Yeah, for me, it was a little bit of a tough choice between all of the DPS on the Guangzhou Gangsters, but I eventually went with Haruhiro. We've been saying his name since the beginning of the season. It feels like really strong player, really strong DPS, MVP candidate. Just it'll be interesting to see how he adapts to this new meta. I remember him being really strong on like the Reaper, which may not be as meta depending on what other teams are playing, but I still feel like he could be a really solid choice and a good player to watch in this stage.
Okay, absolutely. You gotta love that. So now let's move on to Transcendence tier B pool. All right. We've got the Devil Dukes, we've got Frostfisher, we've got Arctic Foxes, and we've got Reckless Sigma. Sigma is going to be meta, so I don't know. We're going to find out. Train, you got a favorite to win here out of this group?
This group, I think, is probably the closest out of any group that we have in all of Tranquility at this point. Looking through the match sheets, okay, so let's see. Let me double check my facts before I get this wrong live on the Iris podcast. Devil Dukes and
Frostfisher. It would be the first time anybody was ever wrong on the podcast.
It's true, and I hate to be wrong because I get added in Discord for it every time, and then I get tweeted at, which is even worse. But okay, Devil Dukes and Frostfisher. Same map differential, exactly. Same record, everything. Arctic Foxes, Reckless Sigma. Let's double check this before I get this wrong. Okay. They also are right next to each other in the standings, same map record. So we've got all 4 of these teams, exact same match records, and they're within like 3 in their map differential, all 4 of these teams. So I'm expecting a really hotly contested stage out of this group. I'm going to go with Frost Fissure because they have a pretty recent 3-1 win over the Arctic Foxes. But I could really see this going any of the 4 ways.
Okay, all right. So a non-committal answer from Train. Beth, do you want to give us a firm prediction?
Yes, my firm prediction is for the same sort of waffle prediction that Train just had. I think Frost Fissure is looking really good. Maybe it's just caster bias. I casted their game between Arctic Foxes, but they just looked really solid and really good. Had a very fast, aggressive playstyle that I feel like is going to serve them well in Overwatch 2. So I wouldn't be surprised if they end up winning their group here.
Oh yeah. Okay, absolutely. We got a lot of Frost Fissure believers in the stream today. Trainer, if it's not Frost Fissure, is anybody else here going to surprise you out of this group?
Yeah, I went with the Devil Dukes, mostly because I think I'll be surprised no matter what happens with the Devil Dukes. I have so many question marks about this team. I love their roster on paper. They look like a top 3 team easily, but the results just haven't been coming their way. A few really good matches from some surprising teams as well. But yeah, I think no matter what, Devil Dukes is going to surprise people, but their highs are really up there with the best in the tier.
Yeah, unpredictability is a marsupial org staple. So Bethcon, you got any surprises for us in this pool?
Yeah, I picked Arctic Foxes for this. Again, casted them against Frost Fissure, which is why I'm such a strong Frost Fissure believer. But there were some points during that game when Arctic Foxes just looked really strong. When they have their team all on the same page, when they're using their ults effectively, I think they can run with the best of them. So I think that they could really surprise us this pool.
Excellent, excellent. So, Train, you're a Frost Fissure stan. Is there any players here that you want to talk about?
Yeah, I'm going to spend some time to talk about my sleep paralysis demon. The legendary DPS player from Paradise Lost back in the day has returned for vengeance in Larsh from Frost Fissure. Just ran Discord tier on Paradise Lost. Some unbelievable performances out of them. So really happy to see them back. And excited to see what they can do in a new format.
Yeah, excellent. All right, Beth, you got any players out of Pool B?
Yeah, I went to Reckless Sigma and picked O Canada. Really strong player. Maybe hasn't had the season that they're looking for this season, but they're one of the DPS players. I feel like they're a really strong player, kind of all around, have a lot of good game knowledge and game sense. If anybody's going to lead Reckless Sigma to the top in this stage, it's going to be them.
Yeah. Oh, Canada, been around Tranquility for a few seasons now. Definitely a recognizable name, and we talk about them a lot on the podcast, so I could definitely agree with that as well. Now, normally we'd move over to an elimination tier, but the way things work out with Transcendence tier, it looks like we're going to have a Pool C instead of the elimination bracket. So we're going to talk about Pool C a little bit. We've got Classified, we've got 413 Catalyst, and we've got Culture, and then we've got Krabby Crabbers. Now, Krabby Crabbers, pretty good name for a team. Despite having a good name, are you going to go ahead with them, Train? Do you think they're the favorites?
I really am. I love the Krabby Crabbers. I love any team that's abbreviated CC.
Yeah. There's a lot less of that in Overwatch 2, though. If there's less CC,
that's true.
Krabby Crabbers actually...
we've got to keep it somehow. Right? It's got to stay the experience. But in all seriousness, I think Krabby was probably a top 2 team in this group, and then they added Dragon and Smokey to the roster. Dragon, really amazing hit scan talent, has been out of the tournament for a little while, I believe a season. Smokey coming up, obviously, from Chicago Deep Dish, where he was running Discord tier over with an Iron Hammer. So really excited to see how this team improves with some new pieces.
Okay. Bethcon, you going to pick somebody else or you just a claws up? Claws up. There we go. Krabby Crabbers.
Yeah. Don't have much to add to Train. They just look really good on paper. I think that they could be a really solid team in this tier.
Yeah. Gotta love the crabs with the lemon, and the butter. Oh, man.
Actually, not a fan.
Really? Oh,
yeah,
man.
not a seafood person,
I
but
love
still,
getting that
crabs.
Texas stone crab, when it's in season. Oh, man. All right. So we've talked about the Krabby Crabbers. All right, so that's enough. We want to talk about a team that's going to surprise us. Somebody that's going to come out of Pool C. Maybe they've got a chance. What team do you think it is, Train?
I think if anyone's got a chance, it's going to be Classified, who, much like the documents they reference, are kind of unknowable in many ways. I hate myself. I'm trying to do this, but
I like it. I'm here for
if I
it.
think of a joke like that, I have to say it, no matter how bad it is.
That's the rule on the podcast.
But they've kind of been sneaking under the radar. Not a lot of conversation around this team. But again, a pretty recent Week 4 win over the Krabby Crabbers of all teams, which went 3-1 in the direction of Classified. So obviously not the same Krabby Crabbers team that they'll be playing over in Week 7, but it's a good sign. Right? This is a team that could definitely surprise some people.
Okay, excellent. So Classified is going to surprise Train. Beth, what have you got? You going to agree with that, or are you going with somebody different?
I'm going with culture here. They've been a little bit streaky, had a little bit of a weak stage 1. But if they manage to keep their highs where their highs are and try to avoid the lows that they have encountered several times in this season, I feel like they could end up doing pretty well in Pool C and pulling through. They've got some pretty strong players and some pretty strong components on that team.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, it's a very good move. Beth can't copy your homework when it's classified.
That's true.
Okay. All right, I had to do it. Train, you got a player to watch out of this? You going with somebody from the Krabby Crabbers?
Yeah, I'm going to be watching Smokey over on the Krabby Crabbers, of course, as I am now their #1 fan, apparently. I'm just wondering if their Discord domination can really translate into this higher level of play. They were absolutely ruling the Discord tier, but now you're playing against some stronger players. You're solo tanking, so there's kind of less space to cover up for any mispositions that you make. And I'm curious to see if Smokey will make the necessary adaptations, or if he even has to in the first place.
Okay, well, all those Krabby Crabber stands, you can get your Krabby Crabbers merch over at shop.spreadshirt.com/OWTranquility.
They should make oven mitts.
Oh, yes, Krabby Crabbers oven mitt.
I would buy
I'm
like
gonna
1,000.
log into the
Yes.
Tranquility store and see if I can get that to happen.
It sounds amazing.
Maybe a little bit after this. Then all the teams are going to want specialty merch all of a sudden. BethCon, you got a player to watch out of Pool C?
Yeah, so Pool C, I picked a player from the team 413 Catalyst. Probably one of the weaker teams, if not the weakest team in this pool. They're really going to have to put their team together and really rally around if they want to make it to a decent playoff seed. And for that, I think that the team's going to be looking for Hackshaw, the tank. He is the team captain. They'll be looking to him for team leadership. Honestly, a pretty strong player. So I feel like if anybody's going to help turn this team around, it's going to be him.
All right. Definitely tanks are going to be really important going into Overwatch 2. But we do have a special video for you put together by Luna. It is the comms check for week 6 of the last week, the very last week, whatever it was before event week that we had. Week 5. Thank you.
5, I think.
5,
it was week 5 because there's 5 weeks, and then week 6 was event week. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're 5 weeks in a month, so that works out, right?
Yeah, math checks out. Okay,
yeah, great.
Yeah,
we're all on the same page here.
Okay, all right. We're gonna learn a little bit about calendars in this video as well. So go ahead. We're gonna watch this video. Thank you, Luna, for putting this together for us.
Throw it in the comms chat, guys.
Polar, why am I afraid of my calendar? It says my days are numbered.
I'm gonna get the wall.
Clear.
If you get the wall, scream, I'm pinning.
Big
Alright?
castaways.
If you get it, I'm pinning. Scream.
1, 2, 3. Castaways.
I got it. Go.
Walk.
Wait, did I leave the Tranquility server?
You're here.
What? You're literally right here. What are you on about?
Talking in it.
Dog.
My accuracy is getting so much better. I have a 40%.
Matt killed their widow more than Sime did. That's all I'm saying.
Well, maybe that's because he was actually a little. Honestly, I'd be a little too if I know I was going up against the best widow on Discord, but it's like whatever.
No, I know exactly what song. Everyone tune the f in.
I can't. My Spotify's broken and won't let me listen along with people.
Oh my god, yes. Now.
Yes, I'm listening along. It's
Wait. Firework.
Do you ever feel like a plastic bag shifting through the wind, wanting to start again? Do you ever feel so paper thin? Sorry.
Your parents are gonna get home and they're not gonna be very stoked.
I have.
You're one of the women in black.
I have to. They're here, and they're queer. Okay, they're not for you.
You know what, guys? This is how we sail to victory.
No.
We sail to victory.
No,
On the
I
pirate
don't want to
ship.
sail to victory.
Why not sail?
Yeah.
Because shut up. That's why. No.
Thank you so much, Luna, for putting that video together. That was pretty hilarious. Lots of good moments coming out of Tranquility every single week. We look forward to seeing more of those. So go ahead and submit your comms check videos in the comms check video submission channel in the Tranquility Discord whenever you experience something funny that happens in the game, because funny stuff happens all the time. But we don't always record it, but you should. So we talked about all of Pool A and B and all those different tiers, but we have yet to actually talk about the elimination pool. The elimination pool, this is where teams go home. It's going to be the end for some of these teams. So we're gonna talk about a little bit of these teams. In Harmony tier, we've got Chicago Mafia 3.5, 07 Titanium, Freya, Fighting Potatoes, and Obfuscation. Why don't we talk a little bit about those and name one team that you think is going to make it. They're going to make it to the playoffs. Which team do you believe in, and why is it the Fighting Potatoes? Train.
Unfortunately, it is not the Fighting Potatoes. I do like them. I believe in 3.5 a little bit more. Okay. They had a pretty close 3-2 loss to Ace High in week 5, which was their most recent game. I know it's week 7. There was no week 6. Okay. And 3.5 has also already beaten Obfuscation this season 3-1. So coming into this, they've kind of got the results to back it up. And I'm really looking forward to a strong performance and hopefully a playoff run out of 3.5.
Okay. Beth, why are you picking the Fighting Potatoes?
So I was Chicago Mafia. Love Fighting Potatoes, but I think I love Chicago Mafia a little bit more.
Okay.
They came out of a really, really tough group stage. Had a really strong schedule. They played Millivat pretty close, which we said is probably one of the top B tier teams right now. Lost to Strix in a close 4-0. They had a struggle with a tough schedule, but I think that they're strong enough to make it out of the elimination pool.
Okay. All right. I can see that. We're gonna have a little bit of we're gonna talk about the Discord elimination pool now. Cosmic Castaways, F214, Reckless Upsilon, Vampires, Poseidon, Nemesis, and Monarch. That's a lot of teams. Which one of these teams is going to make it to playoffs? Train.
I went for the one and only F214.
My man.
Because NPC's on the cast, I just got to do it for him.
Mm-hmm.
But there was actually reason to do it, which is really helpful. It makes my job pretty easy. No, they deserve it. I'm kidding. Please don't at me on Twitter. I don't like it. F214, really hard pool in stage 1. Avalon, Hades, Doodles, Upsilon, who they beat, and Adrenalines, right? Those are, let's see, 1, 2, 3 out of those 5 teams are in our top 6 or 7. So F214 coming into Elim pool might have been a little bit of luck of the draw. Okay. A really good team, some pretty strong results against hard competition, and they're set up pretty well to make a good run out of Elim.
Okay. All right, Beth, you gonna back up the F214 train?
I am not. I went with Vampires for very similar reasons as to why Train picked F214 though. They had a really tough stage 1. They had to play SEAL Team Spuds, Joey, and Redacted. They did end up losing a really close game to Space Created, who we've said kind of before is kind of sneaky good. They lost 3-2 there though. So I feel like they're strong enough that they're going to be able to rally around and make it out of the elimination pool and have another shot in the playoffs.
All right. Now Transcendence tier has got its own little elimination pool. One of these teams is going to make it to playoffs. Train, it's going to be Billings Boomers, Death Cards, Legion Legion, Palm Beach Poggers, or Oath. Which one do you think it's going to be?
I think it's going to be Billings Boomers.
Okay.
They had some tough losses in stage 1 to, again, those top 5 teams. A loss to Sydney Sunsets, a loss to Guangzhou Gangsters. But their other games were super close. Right? A 2-3 loss to 413 Catalyst, 3-2 win against Death Cards, and then a 4-0 against Nya. And they open stage 2 with a bye week. So they have a week to gather some extra knowledge, a better read on the meta, get used to Overwatch 2, and then they play their first game. And that might make all the difference for stage 2.
Okay, I can see that bye week giving them a little bit of a buff there. Beth, what are you thinking?
I went with Death Cards here. Really underperformed in stage 1 for the amount of talent that they have on that team. Got a lot of really strong players, a lot of veterans in the community, and they just weren't able to pull it together stage 1. I think that they have a chance stage 2. They've got, again, a lot of really good talent and a lot of really strong players. They just have to learn how to use it appropriately. And I think if they can do that, they can make it out of the elimination pool.
All right. Yep, I can agree with that. Death Card's definitely a lot of veteran talent on that team. You got Delphi and Orsted and a bunch of other good people. So I think those are some pretty solid picks. But speaking of solid picks, we got a highlight reel coming up here, put together by Phoenix today. So we're gonna go ahead and take a look at that. That's also week 5's highlight montage. You can also submit your own plays in a highlight montage section of the Discord. Just go ahead and clip your best plays. Hit that, I think, F9 by default to save your play of the game and upload it on over there. So we're going to go ahead and check this out, brought to you by Phoenix. Oh, thank you so much, Phoenix, for putting that video together. That was probably the last 6v6 gameplay you're going to see on this channel, unless we do some sort of special event coming up sometime in the next couple of weeks. Anyway, I'd love to see it. Okay, let me have this. I'm gonna miss 6v6 a lot, but of course I miss 2CP, so you can't judge my taste. I know. I'm sorry.
I don't hate 2CP. I'm on your side here, NPC.
All right. But we don't have any more 2CP. We're gonna have push maps coming up this week. We're first week of Overwatch 2. We've got a lot of big matches coming up from a lot of great teams. What are your matches to watch this week, Train?
I am going to shout out the EU side of things.
Okay.
I am really excited to watch Feeders United versus Deathwatch over in EU Discord tier. They're the top two teams by a solid margin as well. Feeders United hasn't dropped the map yet this season. Deathwatch a little bit further behind, but still a pretty solid second place. But these are right now probably my two favorites to win Discord EU right now. And I'm going to give it to Deathwatch 3-1.
Ooh.
Because they have a cool edgelord name?
Yes, and because I've taken the easy route all night, and I want to hold myself accountable.
Okay, all right, perfect. You got to be consistent, if nothing else. Beth, what's your match to watch this week?
All right, I went for Lijiang Legion versus Palm Beach Poggers. I just think in general, elimination tier games are the most fun to watch. They've got the most on the line. They're fighting for every inch in those games. I think this should be a really good close matchup, but I am going to give this one to Lijiang 3-1.
All right. I am looking forward to the feature match tomorrow. Tomorrow night, right here at twitch.tv/tranquilitygg. It's going to be Fire Breathing Rubber Duckies and Clairvoyance. These teams were both 3-2 and 2-3 coming out of stage one. Very, very close records. They're both in the B pool. I feel like this is going to be a scrappy fight. I love seeing those middle of the road. I like seeing the elimination pool matches, but sometimes the B pool is really going to shake things up because the new Overwatch, the new 5v5, the new gameplay, it's all going to be different. And I can't wait to see that on a feature match tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Eastern time. Speaking of feature matches, we've got a lot of feature matches coming up this week. The standard set, we've got Aesir and Hivemind coming at you in the EU time zone, which is like, I think 3 p.m. Eastern, 2 p.m. Eastern?
2 p.m. Eastern.
2 p.m. Eastern during daylight time. That's right. 2 p.m. Eastern during daylight time. And which is also 9 p.m. European time. And then Tuesday evening, we've got the Fire Breathing Rubber Duckies. We've got Wednesday, we've got the Transcendence tier match. We've got Krabby Crabbers, everybody's favorite crabs, and the 413 Catalyst coming up on Wednesday night. And Thursday afternoon for me, evening for EU, we have Mythical Kitsune and Paid to Win, which should be a fantastic match as well. Those two teams are very, very close in the standings. And then Thursday evening, we have the Galactic Gibbons and Avalon playing in our Discord tier match. So I'm looking forward to seeing all this new Overwatch 2 gameplay, seeing how it compares to what's happening in the actual Overwatch League, and seeing if the meta is going to, we're going to see the copies of the meta, or we're going to see something different. We definitely aren't going to see any of the new Kiriko hero, because Kiriko is not going to be available in Tranquility until she's available in competitive. So you got to wait for that. That is kind of our rule. And maps that have been pulled from competitive or pulled from the cycle completely to be redone are also not going to be available in the pool. That is kind of the way we run things here. It's kind of based off the competitive map set. Predicting Tranquility is actually next. We got a lot of content this week to farm up those channel points and enter the giveaway entries in your chat, because we're giving away 5 $50 gift cards on the Iris podcast next week. So because we didn't broadcast that much during event week, we didn't have the opportunity to play Overwatch, we're going to go ahead and extend the giveaway entries for a whole nother week. So you have a whole nother week to earn channel points, bet on channel points, win channel points, and then enter to win 5 $50 Amazon gift cards. That's what we're doing. Kind of wanted to wrap up the video here and kind of recap what Mr. Yeti said at the beginning. There are moderator interviews being conducted this week. So if you applied to become a moderator here at Tranquility, you should look forward to a scheduling message about your interview. We have an events team. Chimanzi and Gios are heading up an events team that will be running special events, things like the Widowmaker headshot 1v1s, things like that for event week and other special events and special tournaments, maybe Halo or Valorant or Teamfight Tactics, those kinds of things. They're going to look for people to lead up those events, host lobbies, run production, things like that. The SR is going to be calculated based on Season 36's placements, just because of the soft reset that has been done. I know there's a lot of players that were like, man, Smug's placed in Diamond, and I really wish he could be on my Discord tier team. And that would be great for you, but it would be very unfortunate for everybody else in the tier. So I think you can understand why we're doing it that way. So until further notice, until we notice that things have stabilized, we are going to be using the Season 36's SR for calculating your lock-ins. EU Stage 2 has moved to a Swiss style as opposed to an elimination bracket, just because of the amount of forfeits and dropouts from the teams, just to kind of keep teams playing. So there's not like 3 bye weeks for EU. So that'll be good. So everybody gets to play. The event week events is being rescheduled to be kind of peppered throughout the rest of the season. We are going to be having those at some point. So keep your eyes tuned to the announcements channel in the Tranquility Discord. And like I said before, we'll be giving away all those giveaways. Donations to Rise Above the Disorder are happening all week long. !donate in the chat right now to donate to Rise Above the Disorder and claim your fantastic prizes. We are going to keep those donations open all week long during our feature matches, and we are going to be talking about that. It's very important to us, so we want to make sure that you guys have the opportunity to make those donations and claim those fantastic incentives. I believe there's still a BethCon painting out there to be claimed. $50 for a landscape, kind of like my Hanamura one right there. It's really good. All right, and there is an end of season awards committee. End of season awards are like your role stars or all stars, that kind of thing. Best tank in Harmony NA and whatever, that kind of thing. It's a really great thing. If you want to be part of that end of the season awards committee, it's not just decided by Mr. Yeti. He doesn't just pick it. But I'm telling you, there's a committee, and if you think it's biased, you need to join the committee. Otherwise, you had your chance to join the committee and vote on that. So join that. Look for that in our Discord as well. And there is absolutely no drawing this week. So thank you guys so much for tuning into the Iris Podcast. It's been NPC, BethCon, and Train here. And coming up right next is going to be Predicting Tranquility. Thank you guys for watching.